Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Siti Nusahira from Group 8. Today we are going to talk about caffeinism. So this is the list of our group member. In this video, we are going to explain about what is caffeine, chemical features of caffeine, the characteristic of absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination of caffeine. And the last one is organ-specific toxicities of caffeine. So firstly, what is caffeinism? Caffeinism is a state of intoxication caused by excessive consumption of caffeine. So what is actually a caffeine? Caffeine is a stimulant, specifically CNS stimulant, where it stimulates the brain to speed up both mental and physical process. Caffeine, also known as psychoactive substance. A psychoactive substance is a substance that affects how the brain works and cause change in mood, awareness, thought, feeling, and also behavior. Caffeine can be found in various substances such as coffee, chocolate, tea, and also energy drinks. Symptoms of caffeinism include restlessness, nervousness, excitement, insomnia, flushed face, diuresis, and also gastrointestinal disturbance.
Next, we will move on to the absorption of caffeine. So when we consume coffee orally, it will travel to the stomach. And caffeine is usually absorbed mainly in the small intestine, with a small portion absorbed in the stomach. The absorption occurs primarily through passive diffusion due to caffeine's lipophilicity and small molecular size. The absorption is rapid, with peak plasma concentrations typically occurring within 30 to 45 minutes after ingestion, and it nearly has 100% bioavailability. After entering the bloodstream, caffeine can be distributed into various tissues. It can be distributed to CNS, which is the primary action site of caffeine. It blocks the adenosine receptors, leading to an increased neurotransmitter release and increased alertness. Next, it can also be distributed to cardiovascular system. It can affect heart rate and contractility, which may increase the blood pressure. Next is the skeletal muscle. Caffeine can also enhance muscle contraction, which is why it is often used in sports and exercise contexts. Caffeine can also be distributed to the liver, which is the major site for caffeine metabolism, where it converts caffeine into its active metabolites. And lastly, it can also be distributed to the kidney, where it acts as diuretic to increase urine production. Caffeine can also cross a lot of biological barriers such as blood-brain barrier, placental barrier, and also breast milk. Caffeine can easily cross the blood-brain barrier due to its lipophilicity and small molecular size. This ability allows caffeine to exert significant effects on the CNS, such as increased alertness and reducing fatigue by blocking adenosine receptors. Caffeine can also cross the placental barrier, which means that the caffeine consumed by pregnant women would affect the fetus. And also, it can also be secreted into breast milk, which is why mothers need to be cautious about their caffeine intake as it can affect the nursing.
The methylation of caffeine mainly occurs in the liver by the microsomal cytochrome P450 enzyme system. The isoenzymes involved are CYP1A2 and CYP2C9. The majority of the metabolic reactions are catalyzed by CYP1A2 isoenzymes, which makes up to 90% of the metabolic reactions. The outcome of these metabolic reactions are paraxanthine, thiobromine, and thiophyllene. These metabolites can undergo further oxidation and demethylation to give rise to urates and an acetylated uracil derivative. So the table here shows the main roles of primary caffeine metabolites. Paraxanthine increases the breakdown of fats. Thiobromine dilates blood vessels and increases urine output, while thiophyllene relaxes smooth muscles of the bronchi and used in the treatment of asthma. Since CYP1A2 is an important enzyme in the metabolic pathway of caffeine, any factors that affect its activity will also affect the metabolism and half-life of caffeine. For instance, smoking increases the rate of caffeine metabolism and decreases the half-life because cigarette smoke contains CYP1A2 inducers. Next, the elimination of caffeine and its metabolites, mainly through urine excretion. Only a small percentage of about less than 3% of caffeine are excreted unchanged from the body. This is because of the glomerular filtration in the kidneys. Most of the caffeine molecules are strongly reabsorbed back into the bloodstream by the renal tubules, which reflects dependency of caffeine elimination on renal blood and urine flow. Caffeine elimination rate is dependent on its dose. It also follows the principle of Michaelis-Menten kinetics, where at low to moderate concentration, caffeine follows first order kinetics, while at higher concentration, it follows zero order kinetics. When the caffeine is at higher concentration, the rate becomes constant and independent of the caffeine concentration due to enzyme saturation. The body will eliminate a fixed amount of caffeine per hour, regardless of how much is present. For instance, if the enzyme can process 20 mg per hour, they will do so regardless of whether the caffeine concentration is high or low.
Okay, now I will move to the next point, which is the organ-specific target toxicities of the caffeine. We will focus more on the endocrine system, renal system, central nervous system, and lastly, the cardiovascular system. So, the first one is endocrine system. Endocrine system comprises glands that produce hormones regulating metabolism, growth, and other bodily functions. So, caffeine can influence the release of hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol, which are pivotal in our body stress response. When you consume caffeine, it will stimulate the adrenal gland to release adrenaline and trigger the fight or flight response. So, this stimulation will lead to increase the heart rate, blood pressure, and also heightened alertness. And it also can temporarily boost our energy levels. However, chronic consumption may disrupt other hormones such as cortisol levels. It will potentially leading to anxiety and also sleep disturbance. Prolonged disruption of hormone balance also can result in adrenal fatigue and also lead to cardiovascular problems. Okay, now moving on to the renal system, which plays a vital role in filtering waste and maintaining the fluid balance in our bodies. Caffeine can act as a mild diuretic, promoting increased urine production by affecting the kidney function. It can be achieved by inhibiting the hormone ADH, which normally helps to retain the body water. However, frequent consumption of caffeine can lead to increased urination, so this can put individuals at risk of dehydration, especially when combined with inadequate fluid intake. Additionally, prolonged or excessive caffeine intake may impact the kidney function and potentially contributing to kidney stone formation and also exacerbating urinary tract issues. Increased risk of kidney stone formation and also the dehydration-related complications are notable dangers associated with excessive caffeine consumption. This is because it can increase the risk of electrolyte imbalance and cause kidney strain.
Firstly, let's talk about the toxic effects of caffeine on central nervous system. As a CNS stimulant, caffeine induces the release of dopamine from the brain, contributing to its reinforcing effects and potential for dependence. It acts as an adenosine receptor antagonist that works to block the inhibitory effects of adenosine and will eventually lead to increases alertness, reducing fatigue, and enhances concentration. So, what actually makes it dangerous? High dose of caffeine can cause anxiety, agitation, restlessness, insomnia, and even seizures in cases of overdose. So next, caffeine can have toxicity on cardiovascular system. Caffeine stimulates the cardiovascular system, increasing heart rate, cardiac output, and blood pressure. Caffeine can cause peripheral vasodilation, which may further impact cardiovascular function by altering the blood flow dynamics and increasing the workload on the heart. High doses of caffeine can disrupt the normal rhythm of the heart, making some individuals experience irregular heartbeats. It can lead to serious cardiovascular effects such as tachycardia, arrhythmias, and even death in some cases. Other than that, chronic and high-dose caffeine consumption can also lead to sustained increases in blood pressure, which is really dangerous for people suffering from hypertension. Other than that, chronic and high-dose caffeine consumption can also lead to sustained increases in blood pressure, which is really dangerous for people suffering from hypertension. Other than mentioned above, caffeine overdose can also have toxic effects.
My name is Umi Farha, and I will proceed with chemical features of the caffeine. So, caffeine, also known as 1,3,7-trimethylxanthine. Based on this figure, we can notice these three methyl groups located at 1, 3, and 7. It's typically found in tea and coffee. Then we proceed with its physiology effect, which is the role of caffeine or its mechanism of action. Caffeine can act as antagonist at adenosine receptor. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that can help to promote relaxation and also sleepiness. So, by blocking this adenosine receptor action, caffeine prevents adenosine from exerting its calming effect and enhance alertness. Next, by inhibiting adenosine receptor, caffeine stimulates the release of other neurotransmitters in central nervous system, which is dopamine and norepinephrine. This condition results in enhanced mood and can also improve focus. Is it because dopamine contributes to feeling alertness and norepinephrine will act on alpha-1 and alpha-2 adrenergic receptor, which is to cause vasoconstriction and increase blood pressure, which then can enhance the ability to stay focused. Stimulate adrenal gland to release catecholamine, such as dopamine and adrenaline, which then can lead to palpitation and hypertension. Finally, in this video, we have discussed about what is caffeinism and caffeine, the chemical features of caffeine, the ADME pathway of caffeine, and also the organ-specific toxicity of caffeine, focus on renal system, endocrine system, CNS system, and also cardiovascular system. In conclusion, while caffeine is a common and generally safe stimulant when consumed in moderation, awareness of its toxicological profile is essential. By understanding its chemical properties, ADME characteristics, and organ-specific toxicities, we can appreciate the importance of responsible caffeine consumption and recognize the signs and symptoms of caffeinism. This knowledge empowers us to make healthy choices and better manage the risks associated with one of the world's most popular stimulants, which is caffeine. That's all from us. Thank you.